So, thanks for joining in. My name is Joakim Gavelin. I am with Inriver, and I've spent almost 30 years in retail and e-commerce, helping branded manufacturers and resellers to essentially sell more to their customers and consumers. The last 8 years, I spent specifically in the space of e-commerce as my core, and that is what I'm going to focus specifically on today. Inriver is a product information management supplier. We are a multi-tenant SaaS solution founded in Sweden 16 years back in time, where we still are headquartered. But we are also well represented locally with 350 employees in Germany, UK, Philippines, Netherlands, and in the US. We are helping more than 700 customers, 1,600 brand manufacturers across 30 countries to succeed with their product information. In our solution today, we help our customers with everything from collecting product information to enriching and improving content, distributing and syndicating content into marketplaces, third-party resellers, and the likes. And lastly, to evaluate this content and this product information once it's syndicated and landed into the final mile. Today, I will spend most time on speaking about this last element because this session is about availability, but I will also then touch on discoverability and visibility on the digital shelf and how all this ties together, and all of them are key to succeed online. If we look at e-commerce only in the last 15 years back in time, it has been a magnificent growth. You all know that. If we look back 15 years, we could see 0.5% approximately of sales took place online. Presently, we see approximately 20%, and within a year or two, it's expected to be approximately 25% of all conversion happening in the online space. This is B2C numbers, but also be aware that B2B is also catching up. The recent prediction in the US for this year is that 17% will take place online as well, also for B2B buyers. So the B2B behavior is catching up on B2C. If we compare the behavior of shoppers, of you and I, when we shop in store compared to online, if we start with the in-store behavior, we are used to stand in line, and we are tolerant for that purpose as well, where we can stand and wait in line and in a queue to pay our products. In Christmas time, we can stand 30 minutes, and of course, we might be a bit upset about that, but we still can come back, and we still remember that experience, and we can come back to the same store. Online, we have become much more intolerant to this challenge. We expect things to move on, not within 30 minutes, but within 3 seconds. If the product page doesn't properly load when you try to shop your products online, you are then likely to move on to a new place, to abandon that site or that product page. That is a huge challenge. When we compare this online intolerance and this behavior, as we have learned, we can see a couple of differences and similarities in between shopping in store and online, which I want to touch on in this session. The first challenge that is important to outline is that a product that cannot be seen cannot be sold. In a physical environment, this is, of course, also a challenge, but I can always ask somebody, do you have this scarf in blue? I can't find it in your shop. Well, of course, I can help you. I have it back here. That is always doable in a physical environment. But if I go online and try to search for this blue scarf and cannot find it, I will move on and not buy that item. Approximately 30% of products we look at today disappear from time to time on the digital shelves, which is a huge challenge for any brand and manufacturer and reseller for that sake as well. Because when we are exposing shoppers to these oopses and whoopses or the 404s or the famous dogs of Amazon, we are quick to move on to another item, and very likely to buy a competitive item from a similar item from a competitive supplier. So I find a blue scarf from another brand if I cannot find what I'm looking for. That is the topic of visibility and the challenge of visibility that it is key for anyone who want to succeed online to be on top of this. I say that we track approximately 30% of products we look at periodically disappears from the digital shelf. The URL links go dead or broken or missing. But we have also seen research in the field that proves up to 40% of URLs that go dead, broken, or missing along the way in the digital space. That is a massive lost sale opportunity for anyone to be aware of. The next element speaks about discoverability, and that means once you make sure that you are actually listed on the digital shelf, that you are there, and your product is listed where it's supposed to be, then the challenge comes on the crowded digital shelves. This is just one example from Zalando, including 113,000 items on the category of t-shirts, which is, of course, it's complicated because every search page includes 48 results. So that means that you need to scroll down to hundreds and hundreds of search results. And if you happen to resell a black t-shirt on page 400, it is very unlikely for you to sell that one. So that also connects back to the visibility and the availability. Is your product even available on these shelves? Can you find it? Is it listed? These are challenges that needs to be nursed and are all connected. I will come back to that. We also bump into quite a lot of products that are listed in completely incorrect categories, such as this example from Walmart with a kitchen knife categorized as an insect and pest repellent, likely very effective for that, but likely not really up for sales. We find jewelry as well categorized as men's business, as business cases, also very difficult to find and sell that product. We find misspelled titles also fairly common in this landscape, which also harden the discoverability and makes it very difficult to find these products if a bottle is called Johnny Vlåker instead of Johnny Walker, which makes it difficult to find. So even if you have succeeded in a perfect listing and making sure that the product is actually on the shelf, the second challenge then comes in the discoverability element to make sure that it can be found. These are two really important elements to master. Secondly, a consumer that doesn't know about or trust the product will not buy it either, which then comes down to the content implementation and your success in installing the right content in all the right touch points. We bump into a lot of missing images on the digital shelves with images coming soon. We bump into a lot of blended up product pages, as this example from Germany with a body lotion title connected to a chocolate bar, which is just a blend up in syndication and in this marketplace where they have blended up this content. This happens to the largest of brands. This is one example from Walmart with a Philips title and an Oral-B product on that product page. We find the same blend up connected to items, soundbar speaker, but it's a television screen on the image itself. These kind of blended up assets makes it complicated for the shopper to compare, and a bad implementation of content might also lead to a low listing on the discoverability, which means that even if you're listed and even if you have spent millions and millions of dollars in your valuable content, if this lands wrong on the marketplace, that might damage your whole ability to be discovered on the shelf when you search for when a consumer search for your product, which means that you don't show up on search because this has landed wrong. Thirdly, a product that cannot be supplied will not be sold either. We are extremely sensitive online to the availability, and we got, of course, used during the pandemic to become forced trialists. We needed to try new items because what we needed was out of stock, and that has learned us a new behavior where we quickly shift to another item if what we look for is stock out. We are also exposed to these very convenient alternatives. So if this Samsung is out of stock, I can then buy this LG or that Panasonic very, very simply. Or if that LG is out of stock, I can buy that Panasonic or that Toshiba very, very simply. I am so exposed to alternatives on the digital shelf, which then forces me essentially into buy something else when what I'm looking for is out of stock. Some websites in the world are also forcing the consumers into their own brands. As in this example, I only get alternatives that are competing. There is not another Pampers alternative on this shelf. I'm forced to buy something else when what I looked for was out of stock. We also see a lot of examples in the world. This is a German example which points out that this speaker is available in 3 weeks, which is essentially a way of getting the shopper to just push that button and add this to cart, even if it's not available. And then they sort that afterwards with a delayed delivery, because it's not always that I read that text either before I add this to cart. And that also causes quite a lot of upset shoppers based on that. Important to be aware of. At Inriver, we invest heavily in consumer insights, and this is just one extract from our massive report called Inside the Mind of an Online Shopper, where we interviewed 6,000 people, 2,000 in Germany, 2,000 in the UK, and 2,000 in the US, asking, how do you react when you bump into these things online, and how is your thinking when you experience this? 64% of you and I say that we are likely to purchase a similar product from a competitive brand if what I'm looking for cannot be found or is out of stock. 69% of you and I say that we have dropped the cart based on poor content. 83% of you and I say that we get angry or frustrated when this happens, which is really dangerous when you hold on to your cell phone or basically hold on to your keyboard at your computer. And what is even more dangerous is that 34% of product returns was also because the product was not as described online. So even if I found the product, I bought the product, I then get disappointed because it was described in a way where as I didn't expect. If we now boil this all together and we look at the phenomena of a product that cannot be seen, cannot be sold, that is essentially a 100% lost sale impact. A consumer is instant to shift to another product if they cannot find what they look for, but if I cannot find the product, it's impossible for me to buy it. So that boils down to a 100% lost sale opportunity if a product is not listed on the shelf. The same applies for discoverability, which means that if I cannot find the product itself, even though it's listed, it's misspelled, it has bad content implemented, which means that it doesn't respond to the search algorithm and it doesn't show up. It will also lead to a lost sale opportunity of basically granted 100%. A consumer that doesn't know about or trust my product will not buy it either. They drop the cart in 69% of the cases, and 34% of people return these products because they were not as described online. So even if you succeed to sell, you might get them in return very quickly. And a product that cannot be supplied will not be sold either. 64% of you and I choose another item quickly if it cannot be supplied, which also then which then leads to a massive lost sale opportunity. But we can also tie all of this up together to the point of visibility. Because once again, if a content is not properly implemented and do not respond accordingly to the algorithms on the marketplace, that means that even if it's there, it might not respond to the discoverability and it doesn't show your products where you expect them to show up, which means that a low content implementation and a low success rate on that might lead to a lost sale of visibility. Also, many marketplaces are now starting to remove products that runs out of stock. So if you have an availability issue on the digital shelf, that doesn't just mean that you cannot be added to cart. It might actually mean that your URL is removed and the product page do not respond anymore. So it's equal to, it's provoking a visibility issue just because of your lost availability. That is how it all ties together. And also, it's important to underline that this is not only about buying online, it's also about exploring online and buying in store. So if you go into your retailer to buy a product and research for, in this case, a lawnmower, you are in this case not exploring specifically the branded manufacturer's website. You are exploring the other resellers, the Lowe's or the Amazons of the world. And if you then bump into a dog of Amazon there, or a stock out, or a missing item, which makes it impossible for you as the shopper to compare the content or compare the description, compare this item in between the marketplaces, you then might drop the cart also in store. So it's really important to be aware that it's not just an online matter. This is also about in-store shopping sourced and powered by online success. At Inriver, we then provide a digital shelf analytics solution to help on this. This solution is built to help you to ensure maximum visibility and discoverability of your products, to avoid stockouts in real time, to spot any unauthorized sellers or any gray import in the market that might complicate your sales, to secure that local regulatory requirements are fulfilled everywhere, to learn the public view on products as well, to execute your content implementation with excellence, to understand prices, competitors, and markets in the best possible way. And all of this to ultimately increase your sales and your market share, increase your margins and your profit, protect your brand standards, and reduce costly returns and the environmental footprint. Inriver Evaluate, our digital shelf analytics solution, is a comprehensive and tailored digital shelf analytics solution. It can either be added to the complete PIM infrastructure or used as a standalone solution connected to other data sources. We allow to track an unlimited number of SKUs and websites in any such program, and we can include any open and transactional website in the world in these audits, regardless if this is a marketplace, a pure player, a click and mortar, a distributor, or a brand's own website as you want to audit as well. Our customers always select the websites, categories, search terms, and products to go after, and we frequently update this data with a historical view and call out changes and opportunities in our dashboard. Inriver Evaluate collect data from 3 different data sources online. First of all, categories. Secondly, search results. And thirdly, product detail pages as well on a daily basis to bring you a complete overview of your product's performance. In the standard packaging, we offer to track product visibility, product stock situation, display, ranking, ratings and reviews, and how the products are being priced. And once we do this, we also bring our customers intelligence on competitive insights. These metrics are then audited on a daily, respective weekly basis. Let me give some more insights on what we do and how. Daily data on visibility. For every customer item, we then run through the product pages, live URLs on a daily basis to bring back the presence of this URL and making sure that every PDP is in place and functioning in the world on every day. And if that fails anywhere, that will then be alerted as a real-time opportunity. On a daily basis, we also update on stockouts, which then connects specifically to this topic of availability. The stockouts are then identified whether the product can be added to cart in the online shop. And on marketplaces such as the Amazons or the Bulls of the world, we can then also audit third-party sellers and audit whoever holds the buy box to alert our customers around that. We also update prices on a daily basis in local currency for every SKU in scope, which also can include competitor SKUs if that would be relevant. We also audit on a daily basis ratings and reviews and tell you whether there has been any movements on the digital shelf with any new reviews given on any product that is then updated per SKU on a daily basis. On a weekly basis, we're then extracting category ranking. So which items are the best performers in each category of your interest? Where are your products located? What is your share of shelf of the top of that space? And who is challenging you specifically? We do exactly the same thing on search ranking, where we then just apply terms into that search bar and bring you back the top performing SKUs in every search term. Content compliance is the last metric of the standard bundling in this digital shelf analytics solution, where we then counter check your images, titles, descriptions, specifications, videos towards your source of truth inside your PIM to be able to tell that they are using the right assets in the right places in the right quality at every single touch point. So essentially, our technology can be called to be a mystery shopper online because we are scraping this through the eye of the consumer at every single reseller. So this technology is built to see anything that you and I can see online. That is the approach that we take on. When we apply these searches, we don't replace Google in any way. That's not how broad we operate. We only go after the specific sites of your interest. So you identify your key marketplaces, your .com retailers, and the data that you're after. Presently, the industries doesn't matter. We have proven this to function across industries, cross languages, cross continents. And presently, we scrape resellers across more than 70 countries worldwide on behalf of our customers. Our customized spiders act politely and capture your data while people are asleep. So we move in a follow the sun approach over the world. We start in Asia, we then move to Europe, and then we move to North America and scrape all these sites in between 1 a.m. in the morning to 5 a.m. in the morning to bring you data when people are asleep. Why is that important? Well, it's because we do not want to interfere or disturb the reseller sites once people are there shopping. If we would apply this technology in prime time, that would then slow down the resellers, which means that you might actually lose shoppers because of too long response time on the marketplaces. So hence why it's super important for us to be polite, move in a walking pace, and do these scrapes at nighttime when people are asleep. Before we publish any data, we then carefully validate this so we don't miss any data points. And if any rerouting is needed before you wake up, that will happen before your morning coffee. And once you then wake up, you have the actionable insights directly in your dashboard to start actioning what might be missing. When you are a user of this technology, you then meet this dashboard every morning where you then can get a view of the global performance. This is one example with a global view with your country performance, reseller performance, product group performance, your execution scoring up in the left corner. And you can then choose to filter this down. In this example, I want to have a QBR with the German team. So I filter down to German data. Then everything filters and just show me Team Germany compared to rest of the world. Under the pillar of display, we then gather everything that is connected to your visibility, your search performance, and your category ranking. Everything that responds to the challenge of that a product that cannot be seen cannot be sold. All of that data is captured under the pillar of display. Under the pillar of inspire, we are then collecting all the data around your storytelling, content, ratings, and reviews. So anything that connects to the mid pillar, where a consumer that doesn't trust or know about your product will not buy it either. That problem is solved under the inspire pillar. And lastly, under the pillar of convert, we then track all of the stockouts and all of the pricing. The third challenge that spoke about availability and a product that cannot be supplied will not be sold, that is catered under that pillar. If we jump a bit deeper under the pillar of display, just to show you what this looks like and how it works. So under visibility, we then call out an opportunity list further down below and show you immediately what URLs that has been broken in the last 2 or 9 days in this example, which ones has gone missing and which ones are in need of attention before you lose any sales on that seller. On search words, we then apply your search words of your preferral, and we can then tell who are the competitors responding to each search term on this site, wiggle.co.uk, in sporting goods. And we then pretend in this example to be Adidas and pointing out where Adidas is located on the shelf, what are their percentage share of shelf, and where are their products located connected to each search term on the marketplace. The same approach applies also for categories. Under the element of content, we then audit our customers' content implementation and audit images, titles, descriptions, specs, and videos. To the left, the reference images that are fed from the PIM, from your one source of truth. To the right, the reseller product images, where we then compare image by image, pixel by pixel, and can make sure that they have not just installed the right image in the right quality, but also in the right place, in the right resolution. But even more important, we can also call out whatever assets they are implementing or using that are not authorized. So if they would publish an image or a logo or whatever it might be that are old, out of date, or unauthorized, that can also be identified. We apply exactly the same methodology then auditing titles based on evaluation rules as you set inside your PIM and decide what do they need to say about this product in terms of titles. We do the same things for descriptions, where we scrape through the complete product description and compare that towards your evaluation rules so we can tell you that they are using and activating the right USPs at every reseller. Specs and videos are handled in different ways. Handled in the same way comparing to your source of truth, but videos is compared only versus a yes or no implemented. We don't play videos because that is a bit too data heavy to be still polite towards the reseller. Ratings and reviews, very straightforward. We then only audit the number of ratings and reviews you are given for every SKU, for every reseller at any given day. Lastly, the stock situation is then audited also on a daily basis, and we then feedback in this opportunity list for the new items out of stock since 1 day, 10 days, 12 days, per reseller, per product, per market can be sorted as well and alerted on. We then audit price variance, which essentially is calling out differences towards your minimum advertised price or suggested retailer price. And we then call out your price volatility, which means price difference versus yesterday in this dashboard as well. Every data point can also from this tool be downloaded to CSV or Excel if you want to hand it over to business control, for example, to compare it with your market share, with pricing or availability, can be done as well. And even more important, you can also offer to set email notifications for any stock outs. This is, I would say, our most popular metric we have for sales reps that do not necessarily want to go into a dashboard or go into a complete PIM infrastructure. They can then receive a notification on email by breakfast and see that these are the items that I have run out of stock at that reseller. I need to replenish those before I lose any greater sales. You can also lastly bundle products and compare, in this case, a complete category, for example. This is now 6 different products from different manufacturers that are bundled up, and we can then compare those across one reseller day by day over a period of time of, in this example, 3 months, and see how they fluctuate in pricing across a whole category. In every given view of Evaluate with Inriver, you also can expand to a 360 view. And this 360 view gives you then the prime image used, the title, the pricing, ratings, reviews, whether it's in stock available and whether it's visible on the shelf as well. But even better, we are also linking you directly to the marketplace. You can jump directly to the live site from any given point inside our tool. And even cooler, we are also taking a web shot on a weekly basis. We storage a complete web shot, not just above the fold, but the complete product page from A to Z, which then enables you to go back in time and validate what happened with that reseller. Many of our customers are using this as a proof of execution. Before you pay any market funds into a reseller, you can then prove that through Inriver Evaluate and see for that specific date or week that you actually had this in place. Maybe it was a bit easier before when the assortment were smaller, the reseller landscapes was more limited. So just imagine you run a business called White Shoe Incorporated, and you only had one shoe in one size, in one color, to sell in one channel. That would essentially be easy to handle by Excel or Post-it notes. You could do that very easily by yourself without any technology supporting that. But once the complexity adds to this, you are starting to resell this shoe across more markets, adding more languages, more sizes, more colors and accessories, and upsell to this product. And even more complicated, within each market, you are then reselling this also in the Omni e-shops. You are selling them through pure players, marketplaces, and direct to consumer, for example. And all of these ones, you then need to cater your visibility, your discoverability, and your availability across every such touch point. I would call that to be actually impossible to do without a supporting digital shelf analytics technology. Hence why we're offering that as the fourth element in the complete product journey. Anything from collecting data to enriching your product information to distributing that into any given touch point, and then evaluating this, finding these opportunities and looping those back into enrichment directly into to be able to action those before they create any greater harm. What are then the return on investment on digital shelf analytics in this space? Well, I would say anything from 0 to infinity, completely dependent on what findings there are, because some issues are more serious and dangerous than others. Visibility, discoverability, and availability, I would say, is in the lead jointly for the largest opportunities to grasp. Where your lost sales opportunities are found, of course, a key reseller might be more important than a minor one, but please bear in mind that the shopper always do compare whatever comes up on this search, which means that it's not always the largest, the biggest reseller that takes that space. It might be a smaller reseller that have hijacked that search, which means that the shopper is guided to compare to a smaller reseller in your region. It's not just the market makers that matters. Which of your products are being exposed to this as well is also important. Of course, if it's a key product or maybe an accessory, might be a difference. But also the accessories are supporting the after sales experience as well. So they are also critical and important. When these are found, maybe prior to Black Weeks or Cyber Weeks or whatever we call these weeks we're in late November, maybe that is more important than if it shows up in the mid of January when people have gone through Christmas and all of that. But also the searches and these experiences might have an impact with the shopping behavior. Even if it's a low season for your sales, you might lose shoppers for life based on small challenges. I will come back to that very shortly. But most important, how quickly do you action these findings? If you leave them to be, and we only provide you a bunch of data every day, you won't get any return on investment on that. But if you are quick on this to action this before your competitors take that chance, you can have a monumental ROI back on the digital shelf. Just to give you a very quick example, if we speak about the availability specifically, we have learned that 64% of you and I are quick to choose another item when we bump into a stock out online. Just assume that the average out of stock rate globally today online is approximately 30%, which it is, and you blend those up together. The branded manufacturer and the reseller that jointly can work on solving this matter and master this challenge can then benefit from a 19% sales opportunity instantly only on the stockouts. Then we have not even started speaking about the impact of the lost visibility or the low discoverability on these digital shelves, which also have a massive impact. And this is, of course, we speak about instant lost sale opportunities and such things that are up for grabs right now. But also, let's put this into perspective. Let me just finally share a very short story about muesli. Because if we go back to the pandemic and the phenomena of being forced try lists, needing to try another item when what I look for is out of stock. Just imagine that I shop weekly online, and one of the items that I purchase is muesli for my family because they have a favorite muesli. Just this specific day when I try to shop this online, I cannot add my favorite muesli to the cart because it's out of stock. So I try another muesli that looks similar to my favorite one. I buy that instead this specific week. And just now, imagine that my family likes the new muesli better. So then the likelihood is very high that we stay with the new muesli just because of one out of stock one single day for one pack of muesli that basically costs $5 might then add up to more than $2,500 over a couple of years just because I left my old favorite muesli. I transformed it into the new one just because one out of stock one day in low season. So hence why the speed of actioning these opportunities, and hence why I think it's important that we're also not just showing this in an opportunity dashboard. We are pushing this through email to the users, to the sales reps directly when they are in their car driving to a customer meeting. They can have information about that once they arrive, what they need to replenish. We are also allowing this data to be fed through other sources, which makes it much easier to actually action this data very, very quickly, dependent on what tech stack you have and what kind of reporting structure you have. Thank you for listening in. I am Joakim Gavelin. You can reach me at joakim.gavelin@inriver.com or at +46 70 694 1600. I'm located in Stockholm, Sweden, but I also, as mentioned, have local colleagues all over Europe, in Asia, and in the United States that are ready to help. Please scan the QR code also to schedule a session with a PIM specialist where we can help you and guide and do a custom demonstration on how this could help you and your brand or your company as well. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks.